Yo, no maniacs. Here we are, another night of Nomad at Night, man. Another edition ready to rock this thing out for all you Bears junkies out here, man. We're going to do our thing out here like we always do. It's going to be a good one, too. Spent quite a bit of time on the last episode, man, talking about defense, formalities, schematics, all that good stuff, man. We was talking about all that stuff in depth, because we do a lot of clowning around out here. And sometimes I just felt the need to show the fans and people that support what we do over here that we know how to talk about some football over here in depth. And so that was a good night to do that. But tonight we're going to take it down just a little bit, but we're going to still talk some in-depth football and get to some nuanced football with the offense this time. I got quite a bit of comments after that show, and people love that in-depth analysis on the defense, and they want more of it. It's like, hey, man, I love that. I appreciate that. Y'all keep doing that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just kind of breaking down, because people really wanted to know. They know the names, they know the faces, but how does it fit in the structure of what we're going to do? Exactly what are we going to do? What is Dennis Allen going to run? So people wanted to know, they wanted to have an idea of what to expect coming from this defensive coordinator. But we're going to do a little something different today, talking about the offense. And for the most part, you guys, the lower rung of the spectrum, those spots that might be up for grabs, those contested battles in camp, some of them might not be to that point. You know what I mean? It's a couple of them we're going to talk about tonight. It's going to be worth some conversation. We're talking about the starting quarterback and the backup quarterback. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the tight end spots, all that kind of stuff we'll get into tonight, man. But we're going to have some detailed conversation for you all. And when the show is over, I think you all will have a better understanding of how this roster and the depth chart kind of lines up and who's going to be at who for what spot out there. So I think you all are going to enjoy it. But without further ado, I'm going to throw an alley-oop this time to my guy from Canada, man. Let me see what he does with it from there.
Hey, man, it's Sunday night, Nomad at Night, doing this thing like we always do about this time. 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. What a do to all y'all. Thank you for coming through. Shout outs to my guy Crimson. FFG's with us tonight. Marlon Johnson's with us. Oh, Super No Maniac Marlon Johnson, that is, and Super No Maniac FFG. Give both of y'all a little bit of extra love. Lions for the win. No love to you or Don Burt. But coming in right on time.
Second. Hold on for 1 second, kids. All FFG, right. I knew there was something I forgot to do. I don't know if you're prepared to do a show or not. But if you don't mind, because I know Kez doesn't have your email in his StreamYard feed. If you don't mind shooting your email out, this is family up here. Ain't nobody going to take your email and do nothing wild with it. But if you can shoot me your email, I'll ask Kez to send you the invite, and you can come on the show. I forgot I was supposed to send you that invite. My bad. And matter of fact, it wouldn't have worked anyway because it's in my old MacBook, and I haven't transferred information over. So if you don't mind, put that, if you want to come on, man, put it in the chat, man. We'll get you an invite out there, bro. Come on the show. But my bad, kids. Go ahead.
Yeah. Shout out to Squeegee for coming through. And, man, we'll get into some of the offensive side of the ball, I believe, is really what's on the docket for the night. Chop it up a little bit about that. But other than that, been a pretty solid week, pretty solid weekend. Got a brand new Hard Rock Cafe Casino here in town. Got to check that out. It was dope. And lost a bunch of money I shouldn't have lost. Is what it is. Anyways, back to you, man.
I thought you ain't going to give no shout-outs. Did you? Did you do that, yeah?
I gave some shout-outs. Yeah, I gave shout-outs to the folks who were here. I'm sure more folks will will come through as they do, and I'll give them a little bit of love when they come in.
All right. Well, how about this, man? Let's like we normally do. We spend a good amount of time talking football, so nobody is coming up short on the football conversation. Be human today. I'm gonna start this conversation off by saying, the 4th of July, man, it's been so hot consistently for about a couple of weeks, man. It's just the humidity is high. It's just been kind of uncomfortable, man. One of my cousins, his birthday is on the 4th of July, and he likes to, do big things and, make a big celebration out of his birthday. And plus 4th of July, you got people shooting fireworks, man. It was so bad around here, man. It was so bad. Like my cat literally stayed in my house she's never in the house, man, when it's especially when it's weather like this, man. She stayed in the house pretty much 24 hours. I don't know how she did it without doing something, man, but she stayed in here. I take that back. Let me see. I think about 3:30 in the morning, I kind of lingered up just to see if she was going to need to go out. And sure enough, she came about 3:30 in the morning. She's just like, let me out here. I got to go out. You know, the noise had quieted down, but animals don't like that stuff. They do not like it. To make a long story short, I didn't do a whole lot for the 4th of July. It was just too hot. I didn't want to go partying in that heat because everybody was outside kicking it. I was like, man, bust this, man. I just got me a rack of ribs and cooked them things up competition style, and they was tasty. I'm not really a honey barbecue kind of guy, but I did it because my girlfriend is. And, you know, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do it up for my honey a little bit and put a nice little coat of honey on that thing and my own personal homemade barbecue sauce. Man, I'm telling you, man, that thing was tasty, bro. I mean, extremely tasty. Competition style. I should have took a picture of it.
Well played. Well played. I did similar things, except I did it with some chicken wings. You know what I mean? Gotta keep the red meat down. But yeah, that was my Canada Day this past week. So for anybody in business, especially international business that's going both sides of the border, this week was pretty much a write-off in business. So there's that. Good thing I'm coming back from Halifax on a week like this. It's kind of a slow week. And last week was all hype. So it gave me the opportunity to catch up on some things. So things should be good business-wise next week. Shout out to Dobbsy34 and shout out to Don Burr, but no love. You know what it is, Don. You just came through. right on time.
Hey, you know what, man? I didn't get usually I like to try to do something different. You know, it was just too damn hot to be fooling around, man. You just throw something on there, go out there and watch it every now and then, spread, whatever you're gonna do with it. But man, my guy Marlon Johnson, he's in Vegas. He said a brother really tired of that heat out there. I heard the West Coast is having a real hard time out there. Real hard time. And by the way, shout out to everybody in Texas, in the San Antonio region, which my guy, our guy Bishop Keith Harris, man, I remember talking to him probably about a year ago and asking him where he was from. We was having a conversation about that area out there. But anyway, I was following up with him on some stuff. Like the next day after he was home, I was following up with him on some stuff. And it took me about at least a day or two because, you know, those floods, I don't know if you heard about them over there in Canada, but those floods over there in Texas, man, they probably deleted about 80-something people and counting now. You know, about 20, 30 kids are missing, different things like that. It was a flash flood. You know, there's some politics to it, you know, cutting back on the National Weather Service, and they weren't warned ahead of time that this storm was coming, and everybody was kind of caught blindsided and killed a lot of people. I mean, deleted.
Oh, I heard something about that. Yeah, okay.
So Bishop lives in that vicinity. I think he told me that place where most of the damage happened, I think, is mostly east of him, but he's not that far from it. So it took me a couple of days for it dawned. I'm like, damn. I was like, because he didn't respond right away. I was like, dude, you all right? It took him a little bit, but he finally responded. I'm like, damn. But yeah, this just shows you how 6 degrees of separation, man. Things happen in the world, and you never know who they might affect, you know. So shout out to Bishop and everybody that lives in that area, around the San Antonio area that lost people or know people that lost people, man. Shout out to them people. Good vibes and good blessings to them.
Yeah, big love to all those out there. Yeah, I heard about some girls who went missing, unfortunately, in that situation. That's it's an unfortunate situation.
It was a whole summer camp going on at the time, and they had no forewarning whatsoever. And just imagine being out there on the damn tundra, dry as shit, and all of a sudden it started pouring down. It's like they got like almost 30 inches of rain in like 45 minutes, bro. Imagine how hard it had to have been pouring.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy. Yeah,
That's
I don't know.
crazy.
People can't imagine how what 36 inches look like. Your average person, man. But that's kind of let me just say the average height person, that's up to your knee, somewhere like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, for little kids, it's like that could be up to your neck. You know?
Mystic, Ron Winarski says Mystic was hit hard. I imagine that's a small area in Texas. in the San Antonio area, yeah, it's messed up, man. Whenever there's kids involved, I'm gonna feel a certain kind of way about it. They're having the time of their lives out there, having a summer camp, and next thing you know, catastrophe.
Yeah, no fun out there in those situations, man. But that's natural disaster. So you know what I mean. Blessings to all the families that are touched by situations like that. But there's not much you can do, man. Not much you can do.
All right. So without further ado, let's get the people what they came here for. Let me tee up the conversation with this. The closer and closer we get, kids, to actual training camp, which, by the way, rookies report to training camp, I think, on the 18th or the 19th. I'm not sure. I believe the 19th, somewhere in that area. And I believe veterans report on like the 22nd or the 23rd. One of them. And so within that week, I'm going to look at this calendar right now, and I'm looking at it. You say the 19th is kind of on a Saturday. The 18th is on a Friday. That weekend will go by. The veterans will be in probably somewhere around midweek that week. And they'll be out of pads for the most part, running through installs and getting, making sure everybody's in shape and doing weight training and getting the programming of what they're going to do in the camp together, and then they'll take it into the end of that week. They'll start ramping up towards the end of that week, starting to get a little bit more technical, a little bit more physical. And I expect after the 26th, the 27th, which is on a Sunday, I think that following week, starting the 28th, I'm imagining that's going to be a padded practice. At least it's going to be padded practices that week. And so that's when we're going to really start to tell who's who and what's what inside Hallis Hall, find out what we have as far as some of this depth on the team. Let's tee it up like that because, we're excited about a lot of the rookies, kids. We're excited about the rookies. I'm excited about some of the UDFAs. I'm very excited about some of the pieces that we added during the offseason, talking about in free agency, especially on this offensive side of the ball. When you know that Ben Johnson literally had his hand in each and every one of these moves. And so when people start talking about Poles did this or he didn't do that, just know that Ben Johnson was the head man in charge to make sure that these transactions took place. So let's preface the commentary by saying that first. Anything you want to say behind that, kids? Go ahead before I start getting into these players.
No, I'm not gonna really argue with that one. I still, Poles' feet will still need to be held to the fire in certain circumstances. I am gonna say that I think Ben Johnson did get what he asked for, though. He got a tight end and he got a wide receiver right out the gate. And I think those were the two positions that he was looking for outside of running back, which unfortunately got simply taken by everybody else.
Yeah, I'm responding to Crimson. I can just say it, but I put it on in the chat anyway. Not exactly the 28th. That's probably going to be the week they're going to be sometime that week. I say around midweek. You know what I mean? Probably Tuesday, probably more than likely Wednesday. Up until the weekend, they'll probably have pads on, if I had to imagine. Crimson, I think. So 28th, I wouldn't expect it. That's on a Monday. I would expect between somewhere around Tuesday, Wednesday. That's the 29th, 30th, or maybe even the 31st. And they just go through the weekend for 3 straight days. Or, you do a Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday, a pass, and then take Sunday, Monday off or something like that, kind of to physically kind of repair. It's going to go something like that. They'll go like 3 days straight and then have like a couple days of non-physical activity, just doing nothing, and then get back to it, something like that. But that first day of that week, I doubt it happens on the 28th. Probably going to be midweek, Crimson, if I had to guess. But all right, let's talk about, let's just start here. This is a good place to start. And that is the tight end battle. And who's on the screen? Remember, we're talking about where I think, and kids will probably agree, and we'll find out during the conversation, where I think the battle is going to be had for a spot. Because I think you're talking about the tight ends. You got Cole Kmet, you got Colston Loveland, you got Durham Smythe, who they went and got in free agency. I'm almost I'm like 95% sure Durham Smythe is going to be a part of this roster.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, where's Durham Smythe in this picture?
Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to grab one of those, that third spot. If they
I think so too.
They're going to keep a fourth tight end. Where they keep him at is anybody's guess. Likely one of these guys will end up as a practice squad player, but there's still competition to be had for the actual third. I'm not going to give it to Durham Smythe 110%. I'm going to say I feel 95% secure in saying that he'll grab that third spot. Now, one of these two dudes right here can run up in there and grab that thing. I heard good stuff about Joel Wilson, who was from, I was just looking at his Central Michigan tape, and I think he's a big dude, man. He's a really big, good-sized guy, and he can move a little bit, man. He's a big, rangy guy. He's got a big, basically a big catch radius. That's one of the things that really stood out with me, how big his catch radius is. And you heard Ben Johnson, talking about some of the guys that stood out. This is one of the guys that got conversation. And so Stephen Carlson, this is to be understood. I'm gonna say this while we're talking about every one of these graphics and every one of these position groups. Should be understood by every No Maniac and Super No Maniac. Remember where these guys came from. Stephen Carlson, old regime. Joel Wilson, new regime. Durham Smythe, new regime. That's something to be said as far as that goes, kids. But you go ahead.
Whoa, that was weird. So Stephen Carlson going, he's gonna get moved out. It's about that simple. Just looking at age and dollars and cents and things that have gone on. So Durham Smythe, I believe, actually signed in some capacity, right? He signed as a free agent to a relatively low wallet share deal. He's going to stick around because, again, they've signed him, at least for the year. Joel Wilson is born in the year 2000 and is young and fresh enough to be stashed on the practice squad. I don't know if Stephen Carlson can be stashed on this practice squad, or if they would have to pay him. He's born 1996. I think Stephen Carlson's in that like cutoff situation where you either have to pay the guy or you don't, and they're already paying a guy.
Well, you're gonna have to explain to people like me who don't know exactly what you're talking about here.
I'm talking about contract case scenario, right? So from a practice squad perspective, I believe you can only stash a player on the practice squad for 4 years. I think that's the maximum amount of time that you can put a player on the practice.
You think he's been here for 4 years? This would be his fourth year?
I think this is his fourth year.
Yeah, he might be right. I'm thinking about it now. He probably came at the very beginning of the Flus Getsy situation, I believe. I think he got picked up as a UDFA, right?
So he started this. Wow. Okay. So he started this is his fifth year, bro. He started in 2019.
Oh.
So he's actually signed in some capacity. So now we're looking at dollars and cents. Fact is, Joel Wilson would come in here if he can prove himself. He would come in here at a much lower price tag. And Stephen Carlson becomes the odd man out.
Hey.
Very close.
All I know is neither one of them, both of the guys are kind of similar in traits. And, Stephen Carlson has the advantage of I played in the NFL a while. I've been around the teams and, I played NFL football. I know what to do and how to go about it. He has that going for him. But other than that, you watch him Central Michigan Chippewas and some Joel Wilson on that film, first thing that's going to stick out to you is how big and how he's physically fit for the job. I mean, he's got a nice physique from top to bottom, man. He's well built for the job, I would say. And I think, if we're in a situation like you're describing where we might have to look at some financial reasoning for keeping Stephen Carlson, then you got a reason to hit the eject button and gives this guy a much better chance to, get the situation right for himself. And I just like what I saw on tape. Stephen Carlson had similar stuff on tape. I would say Joel Wilson's a little bit more mobile, in my opinion, a little bit more versatile, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So I think this is going to be, when it comes to the tight ends, I think this is what we're looking at. I think you're looking at these two players trying to see at the best that they can do is try to push Durham Smythe for his third tight end role. That's the best they can possibly do.
I don't think they have any choice, right? So Durham Smythe is a couple of things, and I'm okay. So he's a year older than Steven Carlson. I will give him that, but he's something that the coaching staff wants very specifically and for a specific reason, right? They want him for his blocking capability. He's a known commodity in that respect. So that's why he was brought in. I think they're going to want to keep him on the team. Steven Carlson is a really good tight end all around. I have to say that as well. In my opinion, it's really just, as opposed to talent in this particular case scenario, I think it's going to come down to dollars and cents, because you've already got a tight end that you're paying for. You got a tight end that you've now drafted, and you've got a situational backup tight end. How much more money are you really going to invest in this particular position? I'm going to assume one more player, and I think that one more player is for A, development, B, contingency, and I don't think either one of those things really speak to Steven Carlson. So that's where I am with that. I think it's going to wind up being Joel Wilson for that reason alone.
So, for the sake of conversation, what should be pointed out in each and every one of these position group battles, for the most part, for most of them we're going to talk about tonight, one thing shouldn't be left out of there, and that is what kind of special teams value do these guys bring. And that probably will make or break one of these guys we're looking at on the screen, whether they make this team or not, whether it's on the 53 or as a practice squad guy. It's going to be what kind of value do you bring on special teams? You know, can you do little things? Can you go in and line up as a long snapper, you know, just to trick the teams up? Can you fit into this plan that we might want to do a trick play with a punt formation? You know, on the return, just all kinds of things that special teams demon coaches like we have on our team. You can come up with ways to utilize guys' skill set if your head coach has the courage to pull some of that stuff. It's nice to have some of those plays on special teams. You know, you never know when you need them, man. You're in a tight spot and you need a wrinkle to get you over the hump. Guys like that. I mean, how can you be a long snapper? How can you throw the ball? Different things like that. Different dynamics about each one of these individuals could come up as a reason to, when they're sitting at that table, that long table at the end of this training camp, and they're saying, you know, what do you think, Mr. Hightower, about these two players right here? What did you see special teams value-wise? Well, I know one thing. Joel Wilson has an arm on him. He's pretty accurate. Stuff like that can come up at the end of it. You know what I'm saying, kids?
Yeah. No, that's extremely important, and that's the other aspect of all of this that we don't really get the chance to see, right? When you're wondering at the end of training camp, hey, why did they keep this guy over that guy? Like,
exactly.
You really have to consider what they bring to the table outside of their standard position group, right? Like you actually do what's the contribution to special teams, and that's, you know, that's why very specifically Travis Homer keeps making this football team, right? He does things as a special teamer that are second to none, and you know, having somebody like that on the team does go a long way when you need them.
Yes, sir. I think we're going from, this is important in this conversation in particular. I think we just left the regime of a pretty dull, pretty basic, lackluster, as far as creativity goes, coaching staff. We just exited that regime into some guys that you know come across to me, especially Ben Johnson. I like how he thinks as far as this goes, and I think he kept Hightower for a reason. You know what I mean? Because the theatrics that you know, the bells and the whistles that come with every offense and every special teams, you need them. You just don't know when you're going to need them. I think we're into an era of some creativity here. I think we're going to see some creativity. I think we're going to see some stuff we haven't seen ever. So it's always good to have versatile guys on your team, and it might be what it comes down to with these two particular players. Who's the most versatile piece? How pliable is this person next to the next guy? And that might be the end of the story as to who gets on this roster.
I think that's, like I say, I think that's of the utmost importance with all of these players, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Michael Madsen. I didn't know. We have to talk that. I have to put a star on that. I didn't know about that.
Man, he just passed recently.
That's wild. All right, let's get into another. Let's start up top, man. Let's talk about the Z receiver battle. All right, so let me pull my notepad out, man, so I can look at what we have here. So at Z receiver, oops, got the wrong notepad. At Z receiver, this is what the depth chart looks like so far, and we'll chop it up as to who you think might go where. So at Z receiver, we're talking about DJ Moore. Talking about 1, we're talking about Devin Duvernay at 2, Miles Boykin at 3. That's your receiver depth chart. Now, when it comes down to it, kids, I do believe some of these guys, there's more guys slotted in at X and a couple more guys slotted in at slot receiver. So at the end of the day, it's just a position depth chart at the end of the day. But since we're on that, we'll talk about the guys that they have on that depth chart. And so Devin Duvernay and Miles Boykin. Now, I believe, again, these two pieces right here in particular are pieces that Ben Johnson put his hands on, right? These are Ben Johnson pieces. These ain't leftovers from the old regime. We're talking about Ben Johnson picked guys. And in my opinion, they probably run with 6 receivers in this at the end of the day. They'll run with 6 receivers, maybe keep another guy or 2 on the practice squad. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Devin Duvernay behind DJ Moore and Miles Boykin behind him. If it comes down to how many Z receivers are we going to keep, Miles Boykin, I'll just stop right there. What do you think about this right here?
I think your previous comments apply very specifically and graciously to this conversation, right? You were talking about special teams value and how in each one of these battles, special teams value is going to come into play. And that's where Devin Duvernay steps into, enters the chat, right? Like Devin Duvernay enters the chat with his ability to actually handle both punt and kick returns. That's a little bit different. I know Miles Boykin can as well, but I would have to lean towards Devin Duvernay's capabilities here. So that being said, if he is the guy who's going to manage those 2 items on top of potentially being the direct backup to DJ Moore, I think that's where he comes in, and that's why he stays on this team.
Yeah. This one, to me, what really simplifies it for me, again, I'm going to keep going back to versatility.
Yeah.
How versatile are you? Can you imagine Miles Boykin going back there and being a demon on punt return or a kick return? No,
not like that.
Imagine him being flexed into the backfield and used as a running back at times? No.
No.
Can you imagine Duvernay doing all of that? Yes. And so at the end of the day, we're talking about Z receiver is, this is just stuff on paper. When we get through talking about the X receivers, and the slot receivers, the conversation will develop out a little bit more. But this is just a starter. This is just a warm up. Miles Boykin has been brought here because he has a huge catch rate. Is number 1. The obvious thing is his size and height. Number 1, and 2 is because I think he's a hell of a blocker when asked to do it. So that shouldn't get left out of this conversation when they're sitting at that long table. At the end of the day, like what to do with Miles Boykin. We like him. We like what he brings to the table, but is he as dynamic and as versatile as some of these other guys we're going to be talking about here? And that's going to be a question. At the end of the day, what did he bring on special teams? Was he a nice gunner, or was he whatever position they put him in? Did he bring value to the special teams? That's going to be the conversation. Can't leave it out.
Can't argue with you for a second. And like I said, for that reason, Devin Duvernay makes this squad.
No question about it.
Right.
Go ahead, kid. Did I stop you?
No. I'm in full agreement with you here tonight, man. You know what it is. That's Devin Duvernay is a special teams monster, and we're gonna find that out real fast. And when it comes down to blocking, I think the real question to me, the real camp battle would potentially be the other way around with Miles Boykin and Olamide Zaccheaus, and even then, I lean towards Olamide Zaccheaus. So I think Miles Boykin's got an uphill battle to make this team.
Well, he's not gonna. Olamide Zaccheaus is gonna be. We're gonna get to the slot. Olamide Zaccheaus is in there with a bunch of dudes that's gonna be having some run at slot. Very, very seriously doubt that Miles Boykin is a slot move guy. You know, he's definitely going to be a Z or an X. Right now, they have him listed as a Z, and you know he's in a like Olamide Zaccheaus is in a whole nother conversation class. He's not going to have to compete with that guy. But at the same time, we've been talking about how they all are going to have to learn everybody else's role. That's part of it too. So, you know, let's get to the X receivers. I know you're probably trying to get that to FFG.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not.
Let me stop for a second. Let me pull this down. Is he not getting it?
Well, I don't have his email. He didn't put it in the chat. That's just what I was actually going back.
Well, you got to write it in the chat, FFG. You got to write it in the chat. Because I don't think you got no social media presence, so you can't really. Or you can just send it to me, man. Just send it to me, and I'll send it to kids. Just text it to me or something. All right, so let's get to the next guy. You want to hold up until he gets in here?
No, we just keep going.
All right, we'll keep rolling. All right, here's the X receiver battle. See on the image, you see Tyler Scott in his old number 13. You see Jade. What's his name? Jade. What is his name? Walker. Jade Walker in the background lingering, and you got Samori Toure, who's kind of been a forgotten piece that we picked up during the Flus regime. He was kept over, and I don't know because it was the duration of his contract or whatever it was, but he's a guy that I always had. The minute he came, when he was at Nebraska, I watched a lot of his stuff at Nebraska. He was really good, man. I think he got to a crowded receiver position in Green Bay, and I think that cost him time on the field and actual performance and production. And I never thought that this was a bad receiver. I didn't understand how we ended up getting him. He ended up on a practice squad. We saw it, scooped him, and he hasn't really had a chance to do anything yet here in Chicago, but he'll get 110% opportunity here in Chicago, and I don't think people should sleep on that guy. He could quietly make some noise in this camp, being new to everybody in this situation. I'm talking about the coaches. This might be a surprise in this camp at Z receiver. X receiver.
You know how I feel about stuff like this, man. You know how I feel about stuff like this. I can't stand Green Bay players coming here. I hate it. Don't like it. And even more so, I'd really love it if Tyler Scott got the benefit of the doubt over this guy, or at the very least beat him in a camp battle. That would be awesome to hear, and hopefully would lend to him sticking around and making some level of actual impression here, because he's got a very large uphill battle. We basically just named, I think we named 5 receivers already that are in front of Tyler Scott. So we haven't talked about JP Richardson yet either tonight, right? So there's another hungry wide receiver in that group trying to get by. So I don't know, man, but I'm gonna say it the best way that I can here, and say that I'm not pulling for Jade Walker in this scenario. I really am not.
Who are you pulling for? You pulling for Tyler?
I'm pulling for Tyler Scott, man. I'm pulling for Tyler Scott. I hope, like I say, I hope he can win out and get something out of this tenure with the Bears, man.
This is an interesting conversation, man, because we're talking about 3 different guys. Like, I think Samori Toure, pure X receiver that can go give you some slot work. He can play XZ and give you some slot work. He's dynamic like that. Jade Walker, I don't see as much as a slot receiver. I don't think he has the twitch to really be really, really effective in the slot. And, most of the slot positions in the NFL need to be able to run the ball as well, because you got the jet motions off of those kind of plays. And I don't see Ja'Day Walker as being versatile enough to do that. I think he's a nice possession receiver is what he is. Now, I'm not downplaying him and his ability to maybe come in here and make some noise, but in comparison to what you can do with some of these other guys, like these other two guys on the screen, that he takes a step beneath them, in my opinion. Now, Tyler Scott, it'd be interesting to see what he's added to his dimensions as far as his ability to produce. Has he been working with the jugs machine? Has he been working on route running? Has he been getting stronger and just doing what he needs to do? You should be getting better every year as a professional. And so wherever you felt like your shortcomings were, you should be kind of putting your foot on the gas. We're working on that in the offseason. So we did a lot of talking about Tyler Scott in this offseason. So has a bunch of other people doing a lot of, kind of brushing him to the wayside. And people don't believe in him no more because of everything that's happened since he's been here. Now, I'm not so quick to rush to judgment about him. I want to see what improvements Tyler Scott has made, what he can bring to the field as far as production. I heard his name a few times in camp, breaking open, making some nice catches, and running some nice routes. I hear all that. But what is it gonna mean when the pads go on? Can you produce? Can you show some confidence? Will the coaches have some confidence in you by the time you get into camp and get deep into camp and they start having to make decisions? Can you do enough to stay on this team that with a bunch of coaches that really didn't select you and they brought in a bunch of other people to kind of take your spot? Can you prove them wrong about that? That's the thing about Tyler Scott. I believe in the kid. I just hope he's put the work in to kind of make me right.
Everything you said, man. I would love to see it. I would hate to see. I would hate to see this pick be a waste, right? That's really where my headspace is. I know we've invested in the kid, and he's had the opportunity to try and show out on the field. It just has not come together so far. What we've seen is two draft picks that have come in ahead and above him. We've also seen a trade around him. Yeah, man. An additional tight end as a target, as well as some other free agents have been pulled in. Got a long ways to go and a lot to prove. But I'd love nothing more than to hear that he proved it.
Hey, it would be one of the stories, big stories of camp, that Tyler Scott has, in his third year, just got over that hurdle. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, like Tyler Scott hasn't done much on the field to make me like, oh my God, why is he out there? Like, I didn't feel that way about him, but apparently in practice, he didn't breathe enough confidence in the coaches to put him on the field at times, or even dressing at times. You know what I mean? It was that bad, So what was it? It sometimes, kids, sometimes I believe that, when coaches and GMs are at odds on what player to pick, and the GM gets his way for this time, and by the time that kid gets into the locker room, he's already fighting an uphill battle because, the coaches were not really in on that pick. They just went along with it because they're coaches and the GM is a GM. But I wonder, is Tyler Scott one of those guys that, was handpicked by Ryan Poles? And, you might not believe that this happens, but it does. Like, guys get picked that not necessarily, I don't think it should work this way. So whoever Luke Getsy and Matt Eberflus wanted at that time, that should have been the overriding reason to make the decision to get whoever. But if Tyler Scott was a guy that only Ryan Poles wanted, which could be the case, you can understand why he never really saw the field.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Like he saw the field, man. Like he saw the field in his first season. Saw it quite frequently. It was unfortunate that he couldn't pull the ball down, though. Right? The other aspect of that season and the season after it, I don't think they really had an offensive coordinator that could actually scheme him open as needed. They really just relied on him for the deep ball, which he's definitely capable of with his speed, given his speed. But I think Tyler Scott could be used in a very similar capacity to Amon-Ra St. Brown, like very similar. He's just a little bit less of a blocker, right? Like I'll have to say that. I think he can run clear out routes too, and crossers too. So I just think he was a little bit misused over the course of the last little while. And if they decide to use him correctly, maybe they get a little something out of him. But more importantly, I don't think he was getting it done in camp, and that goes to show why he didn't get on the field quite as much the following year.
Yeah, I think I'm responding. This is probably FFG texting me. All right, I'm gonna shoot this while I'm talking though. But here's what's. I think you'll like this, kids, because I have enough confidence in Antoine Randall as a position group coach, as a wide receiver coach. And I wonder, is he a guy that looks at Tyler Scott's tape and just like, man, you know what? All I need to do is just really hammer this home with him about his footwork and learning, getting him in and out of breaks, getting on him about his release, because I see a lot of that is in and out of breaks, getting off the ball and really selling your release, just being dynamic in that way, just getting off the ball and then at your breaks at the high point of your route or at your I forget what they call it. I'm having a brain fart right now. When you stem in your route at the top of it, can you really, really sell it to give yourself that extra half a yard of space between you and the DB to put yourself in a position where you're open? It's little things like that gives you and makes you a little bit more dynamic than your average slot receiver. And I know that Antoine Randall is a bright enough guy to see this kid's tape and say, you know what? I think I can coach this into him. If you can coach something out of somebody and he's got the ability to do anything that you're asking him to do, you can damn sure coach it in him. And so does he take Tyler Scott under his wing and give him something that he can add to his game? Because for whatever reason, whoever can't even remember who the receiver coach was last year, but Tyler Scott wasn't getting it, man. But Randall L is one of those guys, like when he talks, if you listen to him talk, you hear him. You know what I mean? Some coaches just talk and they just talk. When Randall L speaks, you hear him. When he makes a point, you understand. That might be as simple as it gets when it comes to Tyler Scott. I think if there's a guy on this roster that can be considerably upgraded by the addition of Antoine Randall L, quite possibly could be Tyler Scott.
Comes is asking a crazy question.
Put it up there. I'm trying to send this to you for
saying, do you think the Bears have 5 receivers with 500 yards? Like, that's not crazy. I would think 704s, not necessarily 5. But that's kind of what I think. I think DJ and Romo account for about 750 apiece. And maybe you know what? I'm lying. It might be a little bit more than all of that. We'll have to see. I'm hoping for 1,000 each.
Okay, I just sent you FFG's email. FFG, if you don't get a Gmail, man, I'm gonna hurt you. You worse than Chris. You worse than Chris Washington, man. Come on, man.
Who's got an AOL?
You got mail.
Oh, that's too funny.
I'm gonna let you get that off before I'm gonna start talking about these guys. And we're talking about X receiver. These guys are on the lower end. So here's the depth chart so far, X receiver. You got Odunze, of course. And on our last, they have Tyler Scott running as a second X receiver on the depth chart. And behind him, you got Shamari Toure and you got Ja'Day Walker. That's why you see this image looking like the way it is. And based on our lads, you would say that Tyler Scott's got a pretty good chance of making this team, but that depth chart doesn't mean a whole lot. We'll see what happens in training camp. But yeah, man, I think if there's a guy to have his situation kind of upgraded because of a coach being in the building, I think Tyler Scott's one of those guys that maybe we shouldn't write him off so fast. Let's see what Randall L does with him. I think Randall L's got something to him as a communicator, and I think that's all it is how well do you communicate your message. Every day you can be talking your ass off, but none of it hitting home with nobody. It's a lot of coaches that do that. I had plenty of them that's just talk and talk and talk and talk, but then you have coaches that make an impact on you and change how you're thinking. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? I'm gonna go home and look at this, and then I'm gonna start working on it. You might have that coach inside this building right now that can reach Tyler Scott, because I think it's just a couple of tweaks as a short area pass runner away from being a pretty dynamic piece, man. I really do.
Well, all right, so I got that off the FFG. Minister Charles is saying Tyler Scott's going to be the breakout player of the year, which is crazy. But like what I'm going to say is this: like last year, the major problem was there was so much humanity in front of Tyler Scott. I'm going to say this problem exists again, except one of the problems happens to be in the middle of a bit of a dispute with his contract. So couldn't be a better possible situation for Mr. Scott. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Scott can come through while the other young rookie is squabbling about whether he gets guaranteed money or not. And you go get your position, bro.
There's not a faster receiver on the team or more explosive.
No.
You throw Luther Burden in that conversation. I still don't think he has the downfield speed of Tyler. And he's got some downfield speed like a big dog.
I think he has a lot of downfield speed, but maybe not quite as much as Tyler Scott. I think Tyler Scott's got everybody on this team with the word speed. But
all right, we got FFG to just join the building. About to put him on the screen. Ain't seen you for a while, big dog. You got the basement clean down there. You got the little hangar clean down there. Got the
working on it.
What's good, dog?
Nothing much, man. I just been working hard, doing my thing. Just been eating the last 3 days like it's going out of style.
Me too.
What, barbecue?
Man, I barbecued, then my neighbor barbecued, then we went up north to her family's house on the lake, and they barbecued. So I've been eating good.
Hey, man, I ain't been eating as good, man, but yeah, I only threw ribs on there, man. I didn't do a whole lot. Them motherfuckers pretty much done except for 2 bones by the time the next day came on. So, hey, but so did you been hearing the conversation, FFG, man? Did you hear any of this last conversation we having about these X receivers right here in Tyler Scott and these other 2 guys?
Yeah, I really think you hit on one valuable point, that the one thing the Bears have really been missing, what's up, Paul, is that they haven't had a quality wide receiver coach to actually produce quality wide receivers, route runners, and actually know their job and what they're supposed to be doing at all times and be disciplined. I think with having Randall L there, a guy who's done it at a high level, won a championship, didn't have anything given to him. He wasn't a number 1 receiver, top pick. He had to earn everything. And so I really think he's going to see who's got it and who doesn't. And so out of the 10 or 12 receivers that we do have coming to camp, everybody's going to have an opportunity to prove themselves. And whoever rises to the top of the cream, they're going to be on the team. And everybody who don't, is going to be out of here.
You said it, man.
I think I talked myself into really believing, and I wasn't just talking when I said that, different coaches impact guys in different ways, and a message from the right individual can change everything. You know what I mean? And Tyler Scott, I'm just hopeful for him, man, because I do see the talent. I just see a pretty one-dimensional, talking about the last couple of years he's been with the team. I just see a pretty one-dimensional guy that you might get a trick play off with, a double reverse or something like that, which he's shown that he can. You can put him in the bag of tricks if you want to pull some stuff. But the dexterity and the dynamic receiver that I know he needs to be, I haven't seen in the past couple of years. He's a straight line speed guy, and that's it. He will take the lid right off of your defense. if you got a quarterback that can hit it. Now, how you make and stay on a roster is the other stuff, the 0 to 15 to 20 yards and in. You got to be dynamic in those areas, getting separation, releasing off the line of scrimmage, and making a good break at the end of your routes, man. This stuff is important because a DB ain't going to respect you, nothing but your speed. They'll just lay off you when they think that you're going to run a long one, and they'll tighten up on your butt. Get on the line of scrimmage. If they think you're weak at the line of scrimmage, they will crowd you and kind of take that deep thing off the map, because when you see a receiver really getting smothered at the line of scrimmage, the quarterback's just going to look somewhere else. So different things like that as a DB, I can tell you, Tyler Scott has a lot in his physical ability, but as far as his skill set goes, he is leaking. And I'm hoping Randall L can come in here and plug some of those leaks up and make him into a player that we think he can be. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, I really think that he needs to kind of what Rome did, work on his strength, because he's going to have to be able to get leverage, separation. He's going to be able to have to hand fight to get open in short spaces and for shorter routes. If he's not going to be able to do that and be precise with every step and every motion, he's not going to be the type of receiver they're going to need to be in short yardage to open up those deeper throws.
Got to be money. All right. Kids, any more thoughts on this before I move to the next subject?
No, just Tyler Scott, your guy Luther Burden's giving you your job back. Let's find out if you want it or not.
All right, we're gonna talk about some. Let's talk about some big uglies, man, because that's what we need to be talking about. We need to talk about some doggone damn fat boys. That's what we're about to talk about right now. Let's talk about this guard position. This is gonna get a little. I'm just saying this right now. These are the guys who I think are in competition for probably the second swing guard job. I think the first swing guard job is going to go to Ryan Bates. I'm going to tell you why. I know every fan in the fan base that watches podcasts and everybody realizes that we signed Ryan Bates and really haven't gotten anything out of him. Get it. Got it. I know that we gave Ryan Bates a certain amount of money. Didn't feel like we got return on investment. Get it. Got it. But what I can say, and I've been saying this, if Ryan Bates is anywhere near the player that he was when we grabbed him from Buffalo, if he's gotten himself healthy, we have got a dynamic piece to add to that plethora of guys, to the plethora of guys that we have on this roster. And I do believe Ryan Bates is the ultimate swing guard on this team that can go from center to guard to tackle. He can play any single position on this line, on that line of scrimmage. And so I think if we got a healthy and willing Ryan Bates to play on this offensive line, we have a huge asset. Huge. Number one, let me just get that out of the way. I don't care nothing about the money, nothing about, okay, he didn't play well. He was always, I don't care nothing about that. Obviously, they still think something of him. He's still on the team. So it doesn't matter what we think. All I can tell you is what I've seen on film. And so these two guys talking about Bill Murray and Jordan McFadden are trying to, be those two guys that, try to get that other spot. You're going to need depth. And I'll stop right there and let these guys have some say. So any one of y'all can jump in and chime in on this.
FFG, what do you think, man?
I think it determines how healthy he is. Because if he's not healthy like he wasn't last year, it's not going to matter how well he plays at those positions if he can't do it today or next month or in 3 months from now. So, to me, whoever the healthiest dude out there, because if Bill Murray's 100%, healed from his injury, he's going to have a chance to have a say-so. And so is Luke Newman, the rookie. He's going to have a chance because he's a pretty good guard. And McFadden, he's going to have to work on his footwork. So we're going to see how well these offensive line coaches are teaching technique and everything and what they've seen so far in minicamp and OTAs to give who the first opportunity to prove themselves.
Yeah. Dollar for dollar, like you don't save an extreme amount with Ryan Bates, really. So you're probably
let's talk about the football. To me, kids, I don't care nothing about the dollar aspect of it. I know you love talking about that, but that's important at this point.
It always is.
Well, it is to people that do that stuff.
I'm just saying with respect to once you get past player number 2, you know what I mean, on at any given position, that's exactly really where we're actually at players 3 and 4 in most of these cases. That's when you're really thinking about A, special teams value, B, money. Like that's C, talent, right? You already got your talent on the roster that you're paying. Now, can we fit in talent into our payment case scenario? And with Bates, like I'm saying, it's not a big money thing, so they might wind up keeping Bates anyway, just for the sake of it.
I think if they wanted to cut bait with that part of it that you're talking about, it'd have been done by now. They think they think the guy's a good player. I know he's a good player.
I have to agree with you there, right? They've evaluated him. That goes without saying. The downside is if you were to look at Bill Murray and how frequently he's been on the field for this team versus Ryan Bates, it's a huge difference, right? He's been on the field in working capacity. Let me just take a look at this here. 1, 2, 3.
It's all different year by year, my guys. 1 year this guy is healthier than the next guy. That's just football. He had we really needed him this year, man. We really needed him, and he wasn't available. And I think most people are upset behind that.
So Bill Murray's been on the field almost 20 times over the course of his tenure as a Chicago Bear, whereas Ryan Bates has been on the field twice, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, I can't argue with none of that stuff. I'm just talking about the football. I can give a damn.
Well, availability is a part of the football. And if one guy's making it onto the field and the other guy isn't making it onto the field, we can judge talent all we want. We can judge talent.
That's what we're here to do, ain't we?
It is, but at the same time, we're here to look at the actual roster of the team, and it's tough to judge when the guy's never on the field.
I'm gonna make a prediction for you. If Ryan Bates is on this team come the end of training camp going into the season, they're gonna know one thing. We gotta definitely, use him. You probably need to, at this point, if he's got some lingering shoulder stuff or elbow stuff going on, probably need to be mindful of how much you're using him during practice, during the week, and have him available for game day. Kind of keep him almost like in a bubble. You got guys like that don't really, it's dudes, you might not believe it, don't even practice sometimes. Don't practice at all. They just there for that last walkthrough before a game, and then they're on the field. Because they're just guys that really. So what I would say to you guys is, if Ryan Bates is on this team at the end of training camp, he is probably going to be one of your more stellar offensive linemen that we have on the team by the time the season is over. I'll make that prediction because they'll know how to use him.
Well, like I say, I can't argue with it from a talent perspective. I just don't know. I don't know if I would risk that with respect to Bill Murray, who we know, who's constantly on the field. Like he'll get on the field, and when he gets on the field, he ain't bad. Like Bill Murray ain't terrible. He saved our butts in a bunch of situations, right?
Bill Murray is really good. I'm not taking it. I just started with Ryan Bates because I know people would want to hear that.
Yeah,
but I think the world of Bill Murray. When he was healthy, he was a dog.
He was a dog, man. He definitely was. I don't know what you do here, but personally, if it was me, I would lean towards Bill Murray, just because, again, he's been on the field, man. And when he gets out there, he's pretty darn good. He makes his impression felt.
I mean, I got to be in this side of availability, the best ability in football at this point, because there's a lot of talented people that can't stay on the field and they don't help the team. So I don't care how good you are in the past or how good you are as ability wise, but if that ability is not performing, then it's worthless to me. So who's ever out there can perform on the field, game in and game out, or at least 14, 15 games a season, that's the person I'm keeping. I'm not keeping somebody I'm paying good money to who stay on the sideline or stay in the training room.
Well, FFG here, that's the problem, because you never know from year in, year out who that guy's. This year could be Bill Murray could miss next 12 games, and it could be Ryan Bates that plays all 17. You just don't know. You can't buy into the situation thinking that way. All you know is, okay, he did all he could do, pre-training camp to get ready for this training camp, and we feel good about it, and we're gonna roll with this guy. That's all it is. You don't know, based on history. Okay, Bill Murray played more football than Ryan Bates. Great. If you want to make a decision, I think that's not the best way to look at it, man, because that could be Bill Murray next year, and now you feeling like you made a bad investment on it.
I don't think you would. Like, the flip side is, and they're saying it in the chat. So it's 3.5 to cut Bates, to cut bait. See what I did there? If you cut bait, you save 3.5, which on top of our existing four would make about $7.5 million. You could go get a player with that if you wanted to do that. So it's not without its merits to move on here. Same token, like, I hear where you're coming from. Injury is a bit of a crapshoot across the board. The real problem is that it's just track record. Like, he has a track record of being injured. He left Buffalo injured, right? I don't know if we spend 3.5 on that again when you don't have to. When you have a guy who I think can fit the bill as needed, and you can save a fair amount of money on.
Well, I also look at this option too. Bill Murray didn't play the position 5 years ago. He got converted, and he's getting better and better every season. Last year, Bates was contemplating retirement because of injury. So what does that tell you? It's not just the team having to make decisions, it's him having the desire to play football too. You see what I'm saying? So if somebody's got one foot out the door already, how can you really trust them to want to keep and have a long, productive career and help the team if they've already had that in their mind before this season even started?
All I know is that's all speculation as far as I'm concerned. We'll see. We will find out. We're talking about, so basically here's what you're looking at as a left guard depth. And these guys are there for the conversation. We're talking about left guard. We're talking about Joe Tooney, of course. Luke Newman, surprisingly or not, is as your backup left guard at that position. Then you have Bill Murray. Then you have Jordan McFadden as it's listed. And so Ryan Bates is in the next conversation, and that's with right guard. And here's the depth chart there. And that's Jonah Jackson, of course. Then Ryan Bates is listed as second, right? Say that again. Jonah Jackson at 1. Ryan Bates is listed at 2. And then Jordan McFadden at right guard. So you see, one thing is you got number one, you got Jordan McFadden. He's listed on both sides. So he's listed as a guy that can go from left to right. Whereas Bill Murray is only listed on the left-hand side. You get what I mean? So that's already a kind of a tell there. Like, okay, we like Bill Murray, but can he go to the right side and be as efficient as he is on the left side? Apparently not. But Ryan Bates is listed in both those conversations, but in particular on the right side, that's what you're looking at. So we're talking about basically it's going to come down to the swing guard position. Who can play both sides? And who we feel comfortable with keeping as a backup swing? This is a conversation, whether it's Jordan McFadden, Bill Murray, Ryan Bates, I don't care. I just want him to get it right and have some good, solid stability. I don't care.
I think the real question, I wonder if he played any. Did Bill Murray slide in at tackle at any point last year?
No.
I would have known it. I didn't see that.
No.
That's
okay. So I think that's the question. So Ryan Bates could slide in at tackle as well, and potentially center. So there's that. So from a position versatility case scenario, that's a huge boost for Ryan Bates.
what I'm trying to say.
That's the one thing that I will I'll throw out there.
Like we can argue about who was there, who wasn't, who was available, who's not. But when it comes down to it, when the coaches are done looking at this stuff and they need to feel good about the depth they have going into this roster, because they're going to get held accountable if it's not right. Who do you feel comfortable that can go from either side? Who can go from one side to the other and kind of do it seamlessly?
Well, shit. Like, if we're talking Bates, he can again. He can play all 5 positions.
Man,
there's the one area where that $3.5 million might sort of, you might want to eat that 3.5. If worse comes to worse, like the real upside here, like if we were to go through the entire offensive line for the first time, like, okay, forget that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the backup, as in just the immediate backup to each position on the line. Ozzie Trapillo.
Wait a minute. We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there.
Well, just give me a second. Luke Newman, Doug Kramer, Bates, and Karan. That's a pretty solid backup case scenario. I would switch Doug Kramer with Ricky Stromberg, but yeah. I think that's a pretty decent backup situation for our secondary line.
Well, either way it goes, this is what we're talking about. Talking about swing guards, just like we talk about swing tackles. Who's going to help? You know, we feel good. I feel good about Ryan Bates. If he's healthy and he's playing football, I want this dude on this team. The minute I found out we got him, I was happy. He had a really down situation, man. He was not able to perform. And that, you know, I didn't feel good about that no more than anybody else. You know, I want to see what happens this year. You know, that's one season. It's behind us now. Let's look to the future, man. So let's talk about swing tackle, man. Let's talk about swing tackle. Give me a second. All right. So who you have here on the screen? That is, of course, Kieran Amagaji on your left, and that is Joshua Miles on your right. Who's listed as at the left tackle spot? Number one, the reason why these two guys are on the screen is because of this. Left tackle depth is listed as this. Braxton Jones is slotted as your starting left tackle. Aji Trapillo is slotted as your backup left tackle. And then Josh Miles as your third left tackle. One more time. You got Braxton Jones, Aji Trapillo, and Josh Miles on the left side. That's a number one, that tells me something about Josh Miles. They really, really liked him on the left side. And he's got, I think he's like 28, 29 years old. He's got some experience. He didn't play all of 21 or 22. One of those seasons he didn't play at all, but he's been moved around quite a bit. He's got similar traits as basically as Kieran Amagaji. He's 6'5", 320 pounds. Long ass arms, big Marlin hands. Same kind of guy. But this guy, okay, I'll just stop right here. See what you guys think about this depth. I'll run it back one more time. Left tackle starter, Braxton Jones. Backup, Aji Trapillo. Third string left tackle is Josh Miles. What do you guys think about that?
And it's kind of weird to me since in OTAs and minicamp, it was Amagaji and Trapillo battling out at left tackle. You didn't hear much about Joshua Miles playing that position on the left side. So I'm wondering when this depth chart came out and who's actually saying this is how it's going to be.
Josh Miles came onto the radar when they came into OTAs and they started OTAs. When Kieran Amagaji, you're hearing about Kieran Amagaji getting those first team reps, FFG, the person right behind him was Josh Miles. That's why people started talking about it. It's like, who is this guy? You know, he started getting some people's attention. They without pads, of course, but that was the word. Everybody gets so quiet.
Well, so I'm just curious because who's listed on the right side? I kind of want to know so we can judge a swing tackle by who's listed after Mr. Williams. You know, that way it's easier for me to be able to give a quality opinion if I know who they're actually recommending for the right side.
Well, when we'll get to that. We got this. We talking about the specific left side right now.
It's tough to look at it like that without the other side. So I'm
all right. I'll give you the right side right quick. So Darnell Wright, of course, is listed as 1. Kieran Amagaji is listed at 2 on the right side. The third tackle in that equation on the right side is Theo Benedict. Does that help out a little bit?
It does.
So they kind of reversed them.
What do you mean?
Well, last year they had Theo Benedict trying out for left tackle. They didn't have him on the right side.
Probably wasn't looking good.
Well, that's until he did the splits and got hurt,
I was gonna say it looked great up until he did the splits, and that was it in preseason, right? So he was out for the better part of the year. I'm gonna say again, don't count out the Canadian spread eagle, bro. I'll go full spread eagle on you. Don't count him out. I'm telling you, this kid is really good, man. He's actually really good, and I'm saying that because I watched him in college. He just my worry about him was his lower like similar worries to Braxton Jones, except he's longer and taller, much longer and taller.
Mr. Charles, go ahead. I thought you were done. It's my bad.
How many linemen do you think they keep? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
That can change. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to say.
I think they keep at least definitely 4.
4
there might
backups?
Be huh?
You say 4
backups?
Yeah.
I'm thinking 5 just because they need, due to injury problems we didn't have on the line in the last 10 years. I'm thinking you keep 10 defensive linemen and 10 offensive linemen, and everybody else is going to have to make do.
You know what, FFG, you probably somewhere, definitely, you probably dead ass on you're in the vicinity for sure. But I can see a team not keeping that extra offensive lineman if they have a couple that are versatile enough to give them reason not to. You know what I mean? So you might say in specifics, I don't like the left guard depth too much or the guard depth too much. Let me keep an extra guy. Or I don't like the tackle depth. Let me keep an extra guy. But if you got a couple guys that are pretty versatile and pliable that can go from left to right, inside, outside, that's going to give you a reason to maybe keep less so you can keep more somewhere else, right? You got some versatile guys out there.
So we're getting down to a real question. It ain't what you got on the screen.
Well, I mean, we're talking. Mr. Charles brought that up. We ain't got to go.
But he's right though.
We ain't talking about that right now. We can talk about.
I'm just saying it's the realest question of the world. I didn't really think about it that way, and what we just laid down is this. So Braxton Jones, Ozzie Trapillo, Miles Joshua on the left. On the right-hand side, we've got Darnell Wright, Karan Amagaji, and Theo Benedict. They ain't keeping 6, right? They ain't keeping 6. So I'm saying they're probably keeping 4, maybe 5. But if that's the case,
you're talking about offensive linemen, bro.
I'm talking at the tackle position.
Oh no, they ain't gonna keep no 5 tackles. They ain't gonna keep no 6 tackles, I would say.
Well, they definitely ain't keeping 6.
I thought you were talking about. I think he's trying to get at. I don't know if Minister Charles was getting at.
He was talking about at the tackle position.
Oh no, I think it goes the same way as the defense.
Lineman. He said lineman.
At each position, you want to keep a pair and a spare, right? You keep a pair and a spare, right? That's why I was talking about, depending on how versatile some of these other guys that are playing on the inside, are they versatile enough where you can consider them as depth for your tackle role? You might keep less tackles than you do guards or something like, you know what I mean? So it just depends on how well this camp goes for each of these individuals. However much they move around, how well did they perform to make them decide, how many pieces you want at left tackle, how many pieces you want at right tackle, guard, center, the whole 9 yards. You got versatile guys. You ain't got to keep too many, right?
I already got 10.
Well, here's
I'm just going like as you're talking, I'm going through the line that I would keep. I'm at 10 easy, and it's leaving out some big names. Well, like it's leaving out some names, and I have a major question mark on Braxton Jones.
That's what I'm saying. You don't know if he's healthy, so how can you pencil him in as a starter today, or even in 2 months or 3 months?
Ben Johnson did that.
Well, I'm just saying they're doing that because he was the consummate starter. But let's say he's not ready to go. Now you're saying Trapillo's the starter and Joshua Miles is the backup? Not Amagaji battling for that job?
Well, I don't know who like the rest are guys like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the cut through the chase. Yeah, man. Like, yeah. So it's got to be. It's probably going to be Trapillo and Amagaji on the left. Maybe Miles Joshua slides over to the right if they're battling each other out and Braxton gets cut. Like they're going to pray and hope they can trade Braxton Jones in some capacity.
Well, if they don't, guess what? When it comes down to it, I don't know. When this camp opens up, there's going to be guys that it's going to get everybody's attention. Everybody's antenna is going to go up if you see Kieran Amagaji listed as the second right tackle on the team, and if you see, Joshua Miles as your second or third on the left side, you know what I mean? It's people going to be like, what's going on? One thing you cannot forget that Joshua Miles has got 6 years in the league. He knows what he's doing. Kieran Amagaji is trying to get there, number one. Number two, Ozzie Trapillo, that whole thing between him and Braxton Jones, who's going to be the starter, I give when it comes to trying to figure out what's going to happen there, because, we could be out on Braxton Jones. We could feel like Braxton Jones, they need to move on from him and try to get what they can get off of him. That's us on the outside. But guess who has to play with this team when it comes down to it? When August, at the end of August comes around, when they got to put the product on the field, what if they feel good about Braxton Jones? He ends up at the start. All right, are we gonna lose our shit? I just want to know.
No, it's not
he beats both of them out.
It's not a question of losing shit. It's just a question of wasted draft capital. Like that's really what it is. So did we waste draft capital on a second rounder and on a third rounder if these two guys can't beat out a fifth rounder who has, albeit a fair amount of experience, right? So like it's an interesting conversation. That's why it's a competition. It has to happen. We have to test these guys and see whether they can, rise to the occasion. More importantly, if they can, that has a financial benefit to it, because if they can't, you're going to be paying Braxton Jones and you're going to be paying him moving forward, right? And that's the question mark.
Here's the problem
that I look at. No, I'm trying to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Check this out. So I would let Karan Amagaji battle out for the left tackle, because if anything happens on the other side, Ozzie Trapillo was a starting right tackle for the last 2 years in college and plays it well. So that's his versatility. He can move over to right any day of the week. Whereas Amagaji never played right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And Joshua Miles can also back up that left if for some reason, Braxton can't play or is not ready to go. Now you have two dudes bailing out or three dudes bailing out for that one side, and then you guarantee Ozzie Trapillo a job because he can play right and left with no problem.
Here's the thing, fellas. This stuff happens to offensive linemen all the time, every single year, all over the league. They get moved around and different stuff happens to them. And so basically what you're looking at here is one of the things I think the offensive line struggled from, especially at the tackle position. I felt good when we had Jason Peters here. Remember that year we had Jason Peters? I felt really, really good with that acquisition. It's because I knew we had a vet in the building that could help guide these guys. It's one thing to hear it from a coach telling you what to do, versus a vet that's been there, done it, and knows exactly what to do. He's basically he was an all-pro his whole career, probably going into the Hall of Fame, guiding these guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Joshua Miles is that. He's nowhere near that class. But having veterans around that's been through it, that was a really good situation for the Bears team. Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones came a year after that, I believe. So Jason Peters, Jason Peters was here as a plug and play right then and there, and they went into the draft and got Braxton Jones. But I think you need some of those guys on the roster. I think we had a young offensive line that didn't have a whole lot of leadership around it, and I hope they fix that going into this camp. I feel like they quasi did, but I still think it needs a veteran or so.
Well, Scrolls just hit the nail on the head. Whoever is over there on that left side will be better at tackle because they got Joe Tooney next to him.
Yeah, whoever it is.
Whoever it is. Don't matter.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's why I'm not. So I've been a little bit less worried about the rookie case scenario because I think that rookie's heavily going to lean on Joe Tooney, and Joe Tooney will kind of make up for it.
I don't know. Joe Tooney's good, but come on now. That's crazy.
Well,
but he can play left tackle, so there's things he's going to be able to teach whoever plays that position.
That's what help. I still think we need a veteran. You're right. You guys are right.
Exactly what I'm saying.
You guys are right. I just kind of looked over the Joe Tooney thing. We got one really nice veteran piece. Wouldn't hurt to have another. Wouldn't hurt to have a veteran tackle on this team, a veteran like left tackle on this team. Would you guys agree or disagree? I think particularly a left tackle, a vet left tackle that's been here and done
it. That ship has sailed.
No, it ain't. There's still guys out there.
No, not
the caliber you're talking about.
Yeah,
no. You're not going to get Jason Peters or nothing like that. But I'm talking about right now. Teron Armstead just retired for the Saints. He's doing podcasts with Shannon Sharp and shit right now. Like, that's a guy that you can bring onto the roster that you know you're never going to dress. That's a guy right now that can transmit information directly from what he just got off the field doing directly into your guys. He can fix some shit. That's what I'm saying. Like a guy like that. He was in the conversation about a guy that could come over here and kind of help the situation when we had the coaching change. He was one of the guys we talked about, kids. That's a guy that, to me, I'm gonna bring a guy like that in here to help out these young left tackles.
I look at it, the guy who just played in the Super Bowl playing left tackle, I'm pretty sure can help out any one of them young cats learn a position because he was doing it for the best quarterback in football and knows how to play for a scrambler.
Yeah, he ain't no tackle by trade. He's a guard. He just had to do that.
But he can play the position, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Would you want to be coached by a guy that is a guard as a trade or a tackle as a trade? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I want to be coached by winners and somebody who knows what it's like to win and can give you as much pointers as possible and has been playing the league 10 years.
All right, y'all stubborn. All right, we're gonna keep moving.
Well,
all right,
is Teron Armstead even an available left tackle in the league right now? Is he retired?
He retired.
Yeah, we can't even touch him.
Put him on the staff.
We put him on the staff to teach to as a coach.
He ain't even got to put on no pads. He can transmit information directly.
Well, then I also have to lean with FFG on this. We have a pretty solid player coach in the guy who just played left tackle for a season.
All right. One thing before we get all the way, we're going to get into some centers here in a minute, but I forgot to talk about this. And that is, this is the lower rung of the roster slot position group, man. This is Maurice Alexander, who was brought over when Ben Johnson came over here. This is one of the signings we made. And then J.P. Richardson, who I'm extremely high on this football player, and I won't back off of this. I feel good about this going into camp. This is your lower end of the slot receiver room. I don't know if you guys got any chance to even see who Maurice Alexander is. He was mainly used as a kick and punt returner in Detroit. So he's got that to his bag, but he's listed as a slot receiver. I'll tell you what that looks like in the room as far as this depth chart goes. This is Olamide Zaccheaus as 1. Surprise, surprise. Luther Burden at 2. Maurice Alexander at 3. J.P. Richardson at 4. I'll start right there and let you guys go.
So, given the list you just gave us, 2 of these guys have to be paid. A third guy is likely going to be paid with respect to guaranteed money. All jokes aside, that leaves J.P. Richardson out as the one guy who doesn't have to be paid. Mind you, he's an undrafted free agent. So the guy that you don't really have to pay is Mo Alexander. So that's who I'm leaving out of this mix. I don't think Mo Alexander will make it past training camp, because you can stash a J.P. Richardson on the practice squad if you wanted to, right? It's kind of how this shakes out. Luther Burden is going to be playing. He's a second-round pick. They're going to pay him. I don't see Olamide Zaccheaus leaving this team because they paid him, but B, because of the value he brings as a blocker, as well as just a really good slot receiver. He also has some special teams value, which is, in case Devin Duvernay gets hurt, like he has been known to punt return as well. But that being the case, I think it comes down to which one of these receivers can you sneak onto the practice squad and maybe squeeze into a game if needed down the road. I think that guy's name is J.P. Richardson, strangely enough.
Go ahead, FFG.
I'm kind of more in the mindset of whichever one of these guys give you the best option on whatever they can do on special teams, and whoever beats whom out on special teams is probably not going to play much as wide receiver, so they're really going to have to show on special teams. And if neither one of them can do that, then I'm with Kedge. You take the undrafted free agent, put him under the practice squad, you pay him peanuts, and you can develop this kid, and that's where Randall L is going to come in. Yep. Be able to work with him every day in practice.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen at the end of this, at the bottom tier of this roster as far as the slot receivers go, but I know this. I was as impressed with J.P. Richardson as a slot receiver as almost any position that I watched during every one of these guys. I watched all these guys play. I'm talking about any position group. I was very, very impressed. He's not the most athletic, gifted, physical guy that you can imagine out there. He's one of those guys that he's not. He knows what he's not. And so what does he do? He studies. You can tell when a receiver studies. Knows exactly when and where to go sit down on a route. Practices releases. When you're not as gifted as the people around you, what do you do to give yourself a chance? You start studying, and you should get really good at the little things. That shows up on tape so often with J.P. Richardson, so much to the point that I want to push this line a little bit further. I think this guy can make the 53 somehow. Because I think they'll be scared to put this guy on the practice squad. He'll end up on somebody seeing him involved. I think that highly of him. I don't. This is one of those guys where I wouldn't want to put him on a practice squad. I think he's going to be so much of a. He's going to be a piece in training camp, and I think he's going to get everybody's attention pretty quickly. And you're going to see what I mean. But
all right, so here's what you're saying.
Go ahead.
To translate, J.P. Richardson makes the squad over Tyler Scott, Samori Toure, Ja'Day Walker, and John Jackson.
Yes. I feel
potentially also over Miles Boykin.
Yes.
And Mo Alexander.
Yes. Every last one of them.
Okay.
Tyler Scott is the one makes me a little bit, because I think he can, depending on how Randall L works with him, he can come out there and show some stuff. But I think this he's polished as shit, man, as a slot receiver, man. He really is. I think he can beat all of them out.
But like I said earlier, the cream's going to rise to the top, and everybody's going to get a fair shake this year. Nobody's going to be the favorite. Ain't nobody's going to be nobody's boy, anything like that, like how it's been in the past. You have to earn your spot. And the people that's really getting paid and they can't afford to cut them or just got drafted. Everybody else, you'll spot up for grabs. And you're going to have to block, and you're going to have to be very well established at what you do in training camp and in these preseason games to put yourself ahead of the other guy.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you got everybody that you just sort of described exists, right? So there's Roman, and DJ, guaranteed left and right, X and Z receiver. You've got your blocking wide receiver being Olamide Zaccheaus. You've got your special teams whiz being Devin Duvernay. Luther Burden's that draft pick you just mentioned, right? So like every single guy you kind of laid out exists right now in this wide receiver room. So
and
that
number
leaves
6 is up for grabs.
Hey, FFG, don't forget, this dude is tough as your granddaddy's toenail, bro. I mean,
my granddaddy been dead.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. But I didn't know what else to say, man. Hey, look, the guy is tough, physical, and as far as who just mentioned that? Somebody said, don't forget something about blocking. Oh, I know he
don't forget about doing
it. He's a player, man. He's a guy. He's gonna be telling me what to do, and I'll go do it. I'll go execute that. I'm telling you guys right now. Remember, Nomad told you. I've been saying this since we got him. This dude is going to get your antennas up, bro. Tell me. We're going to be talking about him all training camp. I promise you. I think if you guys can hear that, as you can tell, 4th of July ain't over in my neighborhood. It's always 4th of July around here.
Oh, okay.
I know y'all been hearing a little bit of noise, but that's what it is.
Happy Independence Day.
But yeah, that's that, man. I do think I don't think Maurice Alexander. I know he was brought over here, to help Ben Johnson out, and I think he's gonna for any other reason. I think he'll try to push Devin Duvernay for the special teams role as punt returner, kick returner. FFG's right; he'd bring that kind of depth to it. But after that, I don't think he's gonna offer you much as far as slot receiver goes, man. I don't think he makes his team whatsoever. Maybe not even the practice squad.
I think one thing we have this year that we haven't had in a while is the camp bodies actually will have real competition to try to make the team, other than just somebody they sign just to fill out the roster for the 93.
This one's tough, man, because there's also the fact that Miles Boykin brings a lot of height and range. That's something none of these other guys bring to the table.
You'd be surprised that like that little dude, JP Richardson's got little bunnies to him, man. He got a little bunny rabbit to him, man. He can get up there and get that thing.
Okay, well, Boykin's already up there.
So Boykin's in the he's going to be in the X and Z receiver conversation, not the slot. This is a slot receiver
for sure. Yeah. Well, like I'm just trying to figure out a grand total. What do they do at the wide receiver position now that we've sort of looked at the slot? And it'll be an interesting go. I think you might be right though. I think JP Richardson might be that developmental talent that they can stash on the practice squad, and away they go. If you're talking about the 53, I don't know. I'm just not quite certain. Yeah, because they're going to be. I don't know. I don't know if they keep him over on Miles Boykin.
Who? JP?
Yeah.
You keep taking it there, and we're talking about slot receivers. They're in two positions.
I know. I don't think. The reason that I'm saying that is because you said you think he's going to stay on the 53.
Why I think I would edge him over Miles Boykin. You got a big body receiver in Miles Boykin, high catch rate, and you can probably use him well in run block. But a dynamic piece like this is your Amon-Ra St. Brown type of guy. He's just a different skin color, man. He's physical like that, and he's dynamic like that. He's one of those guys. I'm trying to tell you, kids, man. You'll learn to trust me, man, as we go on, man. We only been doing this for so long, but as we go on, you'll see what I'm talking about, man. Miles Boyd, he's limited. This one isn't.
I hear you and I believe you, and I'm looking at the slot position, and I can't get over the first two guys in this position. I'm not so sure they keep a third. If they keep a third, I would take JP over Maurice. But then if you keep three at the slot position, you then got to look at the other two wide receiver positions. Duvernay stays, and the rest of these guys go.
Hey, Crimson asks, Super No Maniac Crimson asks, can he be clutch on third down like that? Hell yeah. He's a separator, man. He can get separation. Don't put his own coverage in front of him. He knows exactly what to do sitting in zone coverage. And he's crafty enough to get off a tight man coverage and give the quarterback a throw and window to hit him at. He's good, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. He's about as polished a slot receiver as I've seen in the draft this year. He's close to, if not the best, he's one of them. I'm telling you, that is good, really good. So, all right, that's that for the slot receiver. We can come back to that if y'all want to talk about it. But we need to get to this, and that is the battle at center. And so here's the depth chart as we sit. We got Drew Dahlman, of course, sitting in as your number one. Doug Kramer listed as number 2. Chris Glaser as 3, and Ricky Stromberg as 4. Now, Chris Glaser, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to downplay him as a center and being able to make this roster in some kind of way, whether it's on a practice squad or not. I'm not going to downplay him. But what's more interesting of a conversation is Doug Kramer versus Ricky Stromberg, who I think really, really highly of if he's healthy. And I've seen some stuff on Instagram that he looks really good to me. And Doug Kramer, who's, again, he's one of the guys that was brought on during a previous regime. That was their guy. So we need to put that out there to preface this conversation. And what do you guys think about this battle between Doug Kramer and Ricky Stromberg, guys?
Oh, man. I like Stromberg. Like, not only did I really like Stromberg coming out of college, Doug Kramer sort of played himself out of this center position over his time here in Chicago. Right? Like, he's played all over the place, including fullback, more preferably than he has at the center position. When, given all the turmoil at the center position, you rarely saw Doug Kramer come in and save the day. And that being the case, I would be quicker to hand the reins over to somebody that we've seen be successful at it in the college ranks versus somebody we've seen who hasn't been particularly awesome at it here in the NFL. So that's sort of my take on it. Stromberg was very solid. He just hasn't had the opportunity to do it on an NFL field, mainly based on injury. If he's healthy, my vote's Stromberg.
I gotta go with Keds on this one. Kramer has had multiple opportunities. He's been in the practice squad for 3 years and has barely seen the field. And when he has, he's been getting run over like a freight train. So, I mean, unless he's really bulked up and got his real great anchor and things like that I don't see him having at this point. I know he's an Illinois boy, played at the University of, but I need somebody with some beef and can move folks around and hold the point of attack, especially in the run game. So until he's able to show me he can do that on a consistent basis, I don't see him competing for the backup role at center. And we all know he can't play fullback, so that's another knock against him. He can't even be a blocking back. That's a big deal.
I think the key thing that was just said in all of this, FFG, I think your take is I don't know if you realize you said it, but who's got the power, who can control the line of scrimmage at the point of attack? Because if the center can't control the line of scrimmage at the point of attack, it's going to basically be a domino effect. And now you're going to have to ask other guys to help him compensate for his shortcomings, right? And we're talking about the difference between Doug Kramer and a strong-ass Ricky Stromberg who can really, really battle up front and really hold a point of attack. That's one of the strengths that he brings to the table. Is how strong and powerful he is at the point of an attack. Now, we're talking about who's going to back up Drew Dahlman. They would want to get Luke Newman enough reps and feel comfortable with Luke Newman. I don't know that one training camp is going to get them there to have him slotted in as the second string center. I think one of these two guys and Chris Glazer are the guys that we need to talk about at center. Luke Newman will probably get there at some point, but right now I don't know about that. You know what I mean? He needs a lot of reps to get comfortable with that role. He's played a lot of guard. You know what I mean? So, but Doug Kramer, that is definitely the best point you made, FFG, is who's strong at the point of attack, who can control the line of scrimmage at that position, so that guys don't have to overcompensate for his shortcomings. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, well said. I don't know about Chris Glazer though. Throw that out there.
Yeah, I have no clue of how he's played in the NFL or what his background is. So
he's been waived and traded about 80 times. Multiple.
He must just be a camp body.
So far, that's really, really what he looks like. I don't think he's even had the opportunity to start thus far. Same thing could be said for Ricky Stromberg, but again, I scouted him in college. I know he's very good at the point of attack. He's a little bit bigger than Doug Kramer as well, which sort of helps in that regard. But I think you want to ideally pencil in Ricky Stromberg as that backup center. I think that's really what you want to do.
I wholly, if he's healthy, like I think he is, I think this is the guy that he can turf Doug Kramer out.
I'm gonna throw raise you some Ryan Bates here as well, right?
Yeah, that too, but that's another reason why that guy's so valuable, man. You got a guy like that, you got a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, he's so valuable, man.
You know what I'm saying? So I would if we're talking about the center position, I would raise you a Ryan Bates in exchange for a Doug Kramer and a Chris Glazer.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I feel you. You for sure. All right. But something else happened during the offseason that because we got another player, this goal was kind of under the radar. And I believe this might have been somewhere between second and third. We did a lot of good things this offseason. Would you guys agree? I think we did a lot of really, especially in free agency. I think we did some really good things. Yeah. Really good things. And we're going to see the benefits of it really soon. But I think one of the ones that gets really looked over, and I get to thinking about this side of the football and how dominant it can be, and that's this MFer right here. I think getting Jonah Jackson was an absolute steal, and to put him on the same side as Darnell Wright. Now, I'm going to say this knowing that we don't have the left tackle settled. I would be talking in a whole different language right now if we had the left tackle settled and we knew exactly who was going to be over there. We know they would have been getting reps, and I'd have been like, this is the strong side of our offensive line. But no, I do think the other side of the offensive line, Jonah Jackson next to Darnell Wright, is absolutely pure power and dominance. This was one of the best signings in the free agency period on the offense that we could have ever got. I do believe we're getting a Pro Bowl offensive lineman alongside another Pro Bowl offensive lineman. I just want to get you guys' thoughts. I don't think he gets enough conversation. I think the right side, him and Darnell Wright, are going to be absolute gangbusters. I think they're going to be dominant over there. I think this needs to get discussed a little bit more.
I think the conversation begins with him and Darnell Wright on the right side, and I think it ends with him and Drew Dahlman in the middle, right? I think that's also I think that's also a little bit overlooked when we talk about this new offensive line that we've got. His impact in between there, in between those two guys is going to be huge. It's going to help. It's going to help Drew acclimate to this offense. It's going to help him acclimate to this offense. And I think from a running perspective, as well as hopefully a pass protection perspective, what he's got going on with Darnell should be really interesting to see. So
you're right, Andre Brian. We got him in a trade. That is a free agent. My bad.
Yeah,
but as a 6th-round pick, that's a steal. A starting offensive lineman.
Yeah, you're not going to get it.
You guarantee you got the guy who started 5 years in the NFL at a high, almost Pro Bowl level for a 6th-round draft pick. That don't happen every day.
I think he's a stud.
I don't see it. Not for our team.
Absolute stud, man. I'm telling you, that right side, they're going to run that ball a lot to the right side. Wouldn't you? If you had those two MFers on one side, would you not run that ball heavily to the right side?
Sure, you should be able to use the A gap as well, right? You can sort of bounce in and out. I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing what that run game looks like, but between the tackles, between him and Darnell, as well as on the other side, there should be a heavy improvement in my opinion, running the ball right along those lines. So we'll see.
Another thing, FFG, who represents the nasty on this offensive line minus Tevin Jenkins? I think it's all on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up.
I have to say so. I think here's probably one of the most overlooked things.
Hey, FFG, it's so nasty over there. It's flies and gnats over there. I'm just saying, that's right side. It's ugly.
Well, here's probably the most underrated aspect of what that side is going to be able to bring, what he's going to bring to the table. He already knows Ben Johnson and the scheme of the offense, which he's going to be able to relay to not only Darnell Wright, but Dahlman and everybody else on that offensive line, so they can pick it up a lot faster in the coming months. So training camp will be a lot easier for them to have a smoother transition going forward. And the only reason why he's still not paying for Detroit right now is because they had to pay Penei Sewell and that contract that Ragnar got. Now he off the team. That's the only reason why.
Read the chat. Read the chat, FFG. You got a Lions fan in that cap.
Well, he's trying to compensate for exactly what you're talking about right now, right?
That's read it. He in there capping, boy.
He says T Lions run the NFC North. That tell you what you are now. You guys can get a guy who's not bad from us. We got top guys. You can have him. Sure, okay. Well, thanks. But like, you got guys retiring at 30. You just keep that in mind.
29.
Butthurt. He butthurt. He know Jonah Jackson was a dog. Come on, man. You talking to real football people over here. You know that you must not be a real football person, or you just hurting because he with the Bears now and y'all didn't re-sign his ass. One of the two is going on and not both.
This is it. You also gotta compensate. Gotta compensate for Ragnar disappearing, right? So that's huge for you guys, right? That's big stuff to think about. Big stuff to think about.
Yeah, you never said he was bad, T Lions, but you're trying to insinuate that okay, he ain't that good. And we come on now. You know he's
also trying to insinuate that they got top guys. They have top guy, right? Penei, but the other guy's gone.
T Lions, I can give the Lions all kinds of credit. I think the defensive line draft was, oh my God, it kind of hurt my stomach. I forgot who that was that they picked up. It was a guy that I touted heavily over here. Heavily.
Yeah, me too.
Picking him up.
I think it's Tyleik Williams.
Tyleik Williams, I think, was the best overall defensive tackle in the draft, and y'all got him. I can admit that y'all got some dogs.
Me too.
Admit when we got some. You know Jonah Jackson a dog, man. Come on now. Quit capping. But all right. Anything else? Any other words on Jonah Jackson, the right side? Anything at all, FFG, before we move to the next subject?
No, sir.
It's there. Let me see. That's right. Rick Lane said the entire O-line are road graders. The Lions are nervous. We got them. That's exactly what it is. That hit dog gonna holler, ain't it? All right, let's get to this last conversation. We need to have this. And this is don't mistake what I'm saying here in this conversation as anything other than what it is. And that is this. Tyson Bagent, I told kids this. I don't know, you might have been on the show, FFG, might have been listening to on the show. I don't know if he was here or in the chat. I told kids, I said, one of these, someday real soon, we're going to end up either having to trade Tyson Bagent or giving him a legitimate chance to represent this team. Tyson Bagent has upped the ante. He says he's on in other media outlets talking, and he said all he wants is a legitimate chance to be the starter. A legitimate chance to be the starter. Now, before y'all go any further, before y'all even take off, number one, I love this kid's confidence. I love the moxie. I love the fact that he thinks he's the best quarterback. This dude has high expectations for himself. And you can't be mad at him about it. He really wants to challenge Caleb Williams. Now, in reality, how far that goes in this camp, Tyson Bagent has 2 years under his belt versus Caleb's 1. If they open up the competition, which I seriously doubt, I think this is Caleb. Well, it's Caleb's job. But if anything goes left or just any ways not feeling right and Tyson Bagent starts to really, really perform in this camp, what the fuck are we talking about here, man? Either they're going to give Tyson Bagent a real opportunity or they're going to have to trade him. That's where I think this is at. But you guys can go ahead from there.
Well, somewhere in Bears media land, Mr. Shorty and Mark Carman are dancing right now. They're hugging and dancing. I don't know, man. So we did talk about this earlier on, and my thoughts was you need to actually get Tyson Bagent on the field for a big chunk, like cut Austin Reed immediately. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't cut Austin Reed. No matter what you do, you need to play Tyson Bagent this training camp. In preseason, you need to play him a lot. You need to let the world see what he looks like, and if he looks great, you trade him, you cut bait, and you get something for him. That's what you do. You can't really hold on to this guy forever. You can't. You've already drafted your guy. You put capital with respect into the quarterback position. You also have a veteran that you can utilize in a worst case scenario. So you've got stuff going on. And in this scenario, yeah, I'm wrong. You keep Austin Reed in the wings, but I think you need to test. You need to test out Tyson Bagent and allow him to show his talents so that you can get something for this particular acquisition. If you can get a 6th round pick for Tyson Bagent, you've done your job.
All right. Hey, one hot take, FFG, and we got to get out of here. We're trying to get out of here under 2 hours.
All right. Tyson Bagent can play. He's very confident. He broke all the records in Division II, but he's yet to prove that translates over 100% to the NFL. Now, I like his mindset. I like his work ethic, but his arm is something to be desired. And there's certain offenses he doesn't play well in. So he's more of a scheme quarterback now. Right now, when I see the NFL, like he played a lot better in Luke Getsy's offense than when he had his chances after that to play, like in preseason when the offense changed a little bit. When they got Waldron, he didn't look the same. So I think he's suited to a certain kind of style of play that works better for his quick release, the way he throws the ball, and the kind of routes that he's good at throwing. So right now, the value for him is not going to be very high for a trade. Now, if somebody truly needs a backup that can compete for the starting job, maybe. But how many teams right now don't have a backup that's already had more experience than him in the league?
New Orleans Saints.
All right. Well, I want to keep going because the conversation, and I can tell from the tenor of the conversation, we could have went quite some time in this conversation because I got some choice words to say about this, but we got to get ready to get out of here. We don't even really have time for shout outs, but if y'all got a quick shout out, I'm talking about in less than 30-second shout out, run it. But we can't shout everybody out.
Shout out Ked's Canuck channel. By all means, head over there. All y'all Super No Maniacs and No Maniacs, give me a like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate that. Thanks to my guy FFG for jumping in with us to chop it up. Definitely appreciate it. That's a dope ass hoodie, by the way. Is that a hoodie or a jersey you got?
30 seconds.
Hoodie, baby.
Hoodie? That's pretty sick. Outside of that, give a little bit of love to those who love us. Chicago Streets TV. It's Crimson You Dig with the wrench out there. Shout out to T Lions, even though he is shitting on us, it's fine. Dan Brown, big ups to you. Big ups to Andre Bryant. Big ups to the Scrolls. Big ups to the good minister Charles Johnson and Rick Lane. AC Adam was out there.
That's enough. Come on,
That's enough. All right, we good. Giving you guys a little bit of love. Thank you all for coming out and representing with us. Oh, shout out to Melon Smasher as well as Dylan. We'll call it a Sunday night, man. We'll call it a Sunday night. Thanks for coming through. Oh, big ups to BT9 and Calvin C. And yeah, man.
All right,
take it away, no man.
What you got? What you got, FFG? Real quick.
Much love to all the No Maniacs out there. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday weekend. And my prayers and thoughts go out to everybody in Texas affected by the flood.
Oh, one real quick one. Rest in peace to Michael Madsen, Mr. Pink.
Appreciate that, man. Love you guys, everybody, for coming in here. Everybody, even the Lions fans, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to, man. I'd subscribe to y'all stuff if I was watching it. Any podcast that I go to, I subscribe. I watch, I subscribe to it. If I'm gonna watch that content, I'm gonna subscribe to it. That's just called being respectful. Hit the like button if you do nothing else, man. This conversation does not stop here. We will continue this conversation because we're going to get into some of the schematics that comes with that. Maybe on some extra sauce, depending on how much time I have to break some of that stuff down. We'll get into some of the formations and setups that we like to do. We already did that a little bit, but we'll get more particular about it maybe on some extra sauce on Wednesday. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Hope everybody enjoyed their 4th of July. Anybody that celebrates it or acknowledges it, happy 4th of July to everybody. The people who don't, respect to you all too, man. So I would just say this in closing before we get out of here. Man, hey, I'm going to be real big on being kind to each other and loving each other, man. And I don't think that's much to ask for when it comes to the grander scale of things. It's just, especially men, man, we have this bravado thing going on, man. And I don't know that we need it, to really represent us, man. I don't think you need to be represented by bravado. I think you need to be represented by respect first and let everything else filter out from there. That's just my take for it. And I'm a man that's a work in progress as well. I have to be mindful for everything that I tell you all. And I just want to leave you guys with that, especially you males out there with all that so-called alpha male energy, man. Come on with all that. Come on with all that, man. Just be a nice human being, be a kind human being, because you never know when somebody might need to be kind to you and what representation you left that person with, they might, give you the karma effect to that. So be mindful of what energy you put out there, man. So I would say be kind and be loving to everybody. I'll say that in close before I leave you these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, we are